They've read a book and want to talk about it. It's the Izzie and Coco Book Review Show.
Welcome to Izzie's and Coco's Book Review Show.
I am Coco.
And I'm Izzie.
Today we'll be reviewing Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. So Eleanor and Park is about this couple of teenagers, and one is Eleanor, and she lives in a family where there's an abusive stepfather. And then there's Park, who is American Korean, and they are kind of misfits at school, and they fall in love, and it's their love story.
Yes.
So, did you like this book? Would you recommend this book to anyone?
Yes, I love this book. I guess you can classify young adult. Yeah, the main characters are from high school, but it's a beautiful love story of people that don't fit in and they find each other, and it's so well written. They have a lot of adversity, like trouble at home, and it deals with it very nicely. And I like the author a lot. I like the way she writes, and I've liked all her other books. So.
Yes. I like the way she writes, and I like the personalities that she gives her characters.
Yes.
So they have very different personalities, and you can hear the different voices, and I also love how she wrote this book. And I definitely get a strong yay. I recommend this book. Definitely. Loved it. Okay, so now after this, we're going to start discussing the book. So if you haven't read Eleanor and Park, you should go check it out now and then come back and finish watching this video because there will be spoilers. I wanted to ask you, did you relate to either of these two characters?
A little bit of both. And I hate to admit that I can see myself in Park that instant when he's sitting in the bus and there's this really weird girl coming down. You can see everybody hates her. You know why everybody hates her, what everything is wrong, the way she dresses. And I can be like, don't sit here. I can see myself like sitting and being that asshole, even at the same time not being somebody completely socially accepted as well. But I just didn't want also any more heat on me. So I can relate to both of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally can relate to Eleanor being picked on at school and being the weird odd duck out.
Yes.
And also Park, because he wasn't a popular kid and he was always like trying to, going between do I follow my feelings and go out with Eleanor, or do I separate myself from her so that I don't get any more heat at school, because like school is like cruel.
It's already pretty bad as it is, and then having to add more stuff.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
But I totally related. But then I also liked how he always pulled out being a good guy. Like on his own, he was like, on his own, he was like, oh no, man, like, this is just going to make it worse for me. They're going to start picking on me. But as soon as he saw Eleanor, like, he loved her so much, he couldn't help it. He's like, forget it. It doesn't matter. I just want to hold her hand. It was so sweet. I love that.
And you know what? And what people are allowed to think one thing, but I think what defines you is it's what you do. And he might have felt one way, but he still, came through, was a really good person through his actions.
Yeah, he stuck to his guns, and like in the back of the bus with all the bullies, he still sat next to her, and they had that relationship with his mom, because he was afraid that his mom wasn't gonna like her because she didn't look nice like her mom expected to. But he still brought her over to dinner, and then so
that's so sweet.
I really related to these characters, being like the underlings at school that got picked on, and having that feeling, but that they found their little friendship, their bubble to live in. Yeah, I really related to that. This book had a really tough situation at home for Eleanor.
It was so intense. It was like the way she would describe, and I loved it how she never says exactly at the beginning what's exactly wrong with the guys. It's like little by little she starts spreading, and you start stringing things together. What do you think about the mom?
It's hard to say, because in domestic violence cases, like, that's something I don't really know about so I can't really have a voice on it. But as a child, you want your mom to stand up for you,
Yes, that always. I exactly like you. I can't put myself in that situation and say, but it hurts me and it pisses me off whenever in movies or books I see that the parents choose either the spouse or the boyfriend over the children. Like they don't protect them. Yeah.
But this, you could tell that her mom was trapped, and like it's a mental state, There's even a conversation that they have where she's like, oh, you're lucky that you're not into guys and the guys aren't into you, that you can be independent and be on your own, because I haven't been on my own since I'm in 8th grade. She's always been, and she has like a honing device to get like the worst deadbeats in the world. Like her Eleanor's dad was bad because he was selfish, but then she finds this guy Richie that beats her and scares the children, and eventually, like, it was all leading up to that he was going to be a child molester. Ugh. It was like so disturbing. Yeah. And this whole time, Eleanor, it was so realistic how she was trying to live that situation when she didn't feel like she had any other options. Yeah. And when it was, I think I cried that time where like I
was gonna say, I thought it was amazing how the girl that picked on her all the time. Wait, you say first.
It's not that time.
Okay,
go ahead. I'll go then.
I was like, you hate this girl that picks on her, hides her clothes, I think, like, shoved them down a toilet, if I'm not mistaken. Like, horrible to her. And mainly she's jealous because she's dating Park and she likes Park. Mm-hmm. But this girl relates to her because I think she has an abusive stepdad too. And when Eleanor needs to be protected and they hide her and they stand up and, like, they come together, like, it was like... Oh.
Yeah, all the bullies stand up for them. That was really sweet. And then, but also the other part that got me was that Park's mother saw her, oh, she's just a weird white girl. Yeah. And then it was, oh, she saw her at the supermarket with all the little kids. And she's like, oh,
she was practically the mom of all of these kids because the mom did not have her shit.
She was just like trying to get all the kids out of the picture so that the guy wouldn't beat the crap out of her and the kids. But, but then when she saw them, and she's like, she lived that life in Korea, mm-hmm. So she related, and it was very moving when she like had a breakdown, and she was like, oh, and told Park that he understood. She understood why Eleanor was the way she was.
Yeah.
So there's so many moving moments in that book that make you cry. It was a really good book.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you liked it, and I kept telling you about it.
Let's talk about Eleanor and Park's relationship, because that is the sweetest love story I have ever seen. So Eleanor she moved into the city, so she's new, and she walks onto the bus for the first time. Yeah. And she's a strange looking girl. She's wearing weird clothes because she's always wearing like weird hand-me-downs, you know. And people and she's big, she's kind of heavy, she's got crazy red hair. Yes. So everyone already off the bat is like, oh, this girl, we're going to pick the crap out of her. And then she's trying to find a seat, and all the seats are kind of taken.
Or they don't let her sit there.
They don't let her sit there.
You can't sit there.
So finally, the bus driver's like, sit down. And she's forced to sit, and she doesn't have where to sit. So Park, even though he didn't want to have a target on his back, he's like, just sit the fuck down. And she never forgets that he used the F word on her. And it turns out she ends up sitting on the same seat, and he would always read comic books on the way to school, and she would look over his shoulder, and he ended up, sharing with her.
He wouldn't lend her the comic books, but he would start reading them slower to make sure that she could read them too.
Yeah. Well, no, that was at the beginning. At the after just a couple of days, he would like bring stacks of comic books for her and give them to her, and that was so sweet. And then things like she had a song like "How Soon Is Now" on her notebook. Yes. And he asked her, "Oh, you like the Smiths?" And she was like, I don't know if I like them or not. Yeah. He was like, oh, you're just pretending you like the Smiths? What the hell? And it wasn't just because she didn't have the money or the access to listen to the music, but she thought she would want to hear. So he makes mixtapes for her. And it was just, And when finally they get to start holding hands, and you hear from both point of views that they're like holding hands was the most amazing thing. But they're like, I disintegrated. It was so sweet, and I can also relate. Like first loves, like when you're so little and you're like scribbling people's names in your notebook
a million times,
and like you can't wait to hold someone's hand, and it was fantastic. I loved it. It was really, really sweet. Do you remember anything of us?
No, also what was it that she had a disc player or a Walkman, but she didn't have enough money for she didn't have enough money for battery. So he noticed she had it, but like he said, like, why don't you use it? He's like, and then he had a Walkman, he had loads of batteries. He's like, here, have them. And she just grabs all his batteries, no problem. Like, yeah. But are these a big deal?
Had something to do with batteries, you remember. She was like, I don't have how to listen to the cassette because he made her the first mixtape.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, here, have my Walkman. And she's like, she only takes the batteries. And he realizes, oh, crap, she doesn't have money for batteries. Yeah. So he tells his grandma that all he wants for the holidays are batteries. And he gets her a bunch of batteries. What did you think about the ending?
I still loved it. I was a little disappointed that she just left, and there's no excuse for her not to contact him. He's like waiting by the phone.
Oh, yeah, that was messed up.
Yeah.
But at the end, he gets one postcard, and it has 3 words, and you don't know what it is that she wrote. Whether it was because she kept saying, "Park, just stop," or "I love you," because she had never told him that he loved him. So it's kind of up to the reader to decide what the ending is. Yes. And I always pick the happy ending that it's I love you, and we're gonna eventually see each other. But I also thought I don't like that. I would have rather have Rainbow Royal actually tell us what happened.
I know. I'll leave it up to the reader's imagination. No!
Yeah.
You tell me my happy ending.
Yeah, I know. Please, with my little bow, all loose ends tied up real nice. Yes. So.
But it was amazing book. Like the personality that she gave both of them. They were both like amazing little kids.
Yeah. 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 It was a great book. It was quite an emotional roller coaster, but I really enjoyed this book. So if you get a chance, you should, if you haven't read it, check it out.
And any of her other books, she's a great writer, and I love all of them. And usually there's a love story, so bonus.
Even her short story in All I Want, in the anthology All I Want for the Christmas stories, I liked hers. Yes. So if you have any comments, email us at books@dapperanimals.com. And check out dapperanimals.com. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.